Welcome to another episode of Film Seizure. I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I am Jason Oliver.
And this week we've got one of those movies that I have seen dozens, if not maybe over 100 times in my life.
Yeah. This is an odd one, and one that I grew up with and watched a ton. I can't say I'd seen it very recently, but we've got, what year was this, Jeff?
1979.
1979, the year of my birth. The Black Hole.
The Black Hole. This was released on December 21st, 1979, the same day as another movie we're going to talk about.
So weird.
A little bit later this year, I'm sure. And celebrating its 40th anniversary, Star Trek the Motion Picture.
That's so bizarre.
Isn't that weird?
That's weird.
One of those movies was actually a pretty big success.
It's not this one.
Not this one.
I mean, what do you think is going through Disney's mind? Do they think that Star Trek movie is not going to be that big a deal?
No, I think that they just figured it's holiday time. People will. I mean, back then, I mean, it didn't really matter as much. Like,
but weird, man. Two like big space blockbusters, right?
Yeah, and the perfect time to release those are right before Christmas, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it is now, I guess, with Star Wars and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so 1979's The Black Hole. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure that humanity even was aware of black holes for very long before this movie came out.
I don't know.
You're looking that up.
I'm going to look that up.
You look that up while I give a little bit of extra. So this
Neil deGrasse Tyson wasn't around in 1979 telling us about black holes.
I don't know. I mean, he's probably watching this movie and thinking, "That's what I want to do." That and
I want to
kick Pluto in the nuts.
I want to rip movies like this apart for their bad science.
No, what are you talking about? This is perfect science. Maximilian Schell in this is the greatest space scientist ever. That's what Anthony Perkins says.
Oh, that's not the Wikipedia page for
Black holes.
Yeah.
No, this movie is its own Wikipedia page for the natural phenomenon that is black holes. So anyway, this is Disney's first in-house production that was PG rated. A couple of years later, I think Sword in the Stone Black Cauldron was the first PG rated cartoon that they did. Now, Buena Vista did release and did put out a PG rated movie earlier in 1979, but this was Disney's first actual PG movie that they themselves produced.
Because this had Disney on it, right?
Yeah, this is Disney.
Yeah,
this is 100% Disney.
It wasn't some sort of Buena Vista Shell thing. They were like, yeah, we're behind it.
Yeah, this is us. This is our movie.
Yeah.
This was their response to Star Wars. Funny how things work out in the long run, huh?
That is funny. Yeah.
If you can't beat them, buy them. So this movie's about the crew of the Palomino, a little ship, some sort of exploratory ship. It's got a couple of officers on there, and a scientist man, and a reporter,
and a ESP lady,
right, and a robot, Vincent.
Vital information necessary centralized.
Yes. And he mostly just spouts philosophy and old.
It's not even like philosophy. It's like it's old idioms and
idioms.
Things.
Yeah, that's the word. That's exactly the word I'm looking for. They come across a derelict ship that they recognize as the Cygnus, which was an American, or actually it might have been an international ship that was sent out to study black holes.
It was a USS Cygnus.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they find the Cygnus, and they think it's abandoned until suddenly the lights turn on, and they get aboard, and they realize that the only human on board is Dr. Hans Reinhardt.
Yes.
Who's Maximilian Schell.
Maximilian Schell.
And things seem like, he's just really passionate about black holes and hanging out and checking out black holes.
Everything seems on the level to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's got robot sentry guards that carry laser guns.
Robot sentry's a real creepy ass, like 7-foot tall robot.
Yeah, everything's cool.
With blades for arms.
He's painted red and he looks like Satan.
Yeah,
and Maximilian Schell
wears a little Dracula medallion.
Maximilian Schell wears Dracula medallion.
Yeah, and
also looks like Satan.
Yeah. It's no big deal.
He's got
spooky at all.
Yeah, he's got spooky guys running the ship with real spooky guys.
Yeah, with like these robes and hoods. We're wearing our hoods right now.
Yeah, we are.
And they got these little these face plates that are reflective and pretty creepy because you can't see underneath them.
Right. So he wants to go in through the black hole to study what happens on the other side.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. I mean, to be honest with you, he might be. To be honest with you, I don't think we knew what a white hole was at that time. the theory of what a white hole is.
There was very little relative theory around black holes. There was the 60s.
Right, because I mean it was Einstein who believed that wormholes were possible, that relativity, all of that stuff ultimately would have led to the existence of something so supermassive that it turned itself inside out.
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of started with some people who were studying gravitational fields, and that was first considered. Objects whose gravitational fields are too strong for light to escape were first considered in the 18th century. So it was kind of some general theory, right?
Okay.
And then the first modern solution of general relativity that would characterize a black hole was found by Carl Schwarzschild in 1916. Although its interpretation as a region of space from which nothing can escape was first published by David Finkelstein in 1958.
Oh, okay.
So then were long considered a mathematical curiosity. It was during the 60s that theoretical work showed that they were a generic prediction of general relativity. Discovery of neutron stars in the late 60s sparked interest in gravitationally collapsed compact objects as a possible astrophysical reality.
There you go. So for about 10 years, the idea of what a black hole was. Because also remember, on that same day, if you'd watched Black Hole, then watched Star Trek The Motion Picture, Voyager 6 fell into what was once known as a black hole. That's what Decker says.
Yes. Yes, it was once known as a black hole.
Right.
Yes.
So people were kind of curious at this
point. But
point.
in the movie The Black Hole, that the black hole is mankind's last great question, right? Isn't that what Anthony Perkins says?
Yes. It's like, this is the last mystery we have to solve.
The last mystery that we have to solve. Everything else.
Death. The
solved.
mind. Well, obviously they figured out some ESP stuff.
Right.
We'll get to that.
And so they got it all figured out except for black holes.
Black holes. we don't know what to do with those.
We're still a mystery.
But Reinhardt's like, I got probes that can survive and go right through and come back. Yeah. Actually, the probe only went to the
event horizon.
To the event horizon, was able to still come back. He was kind of a gravity expert because he was able to stay stable. Whereas the black hole should have pulled in the Cygnus, but it didn't. Anyway, turns out, surprise, Reinhardt's a crazy guy.
He's a cuckoo.
He's cuckoo bananas.
Yeah, he is bonkers.
Yeah, he was recalled back to Earth. He refused. Our ESP ladies, Esper. She's an Esper.
Yes, she speaks Esperanto.
Oh God! Here we go. Her dad worked on the Cygnus.
Yes,
and she found out that he's dead now. But we find out that when he was recalled to Earth to basically because the Cygnus cost taxpayers too much money. I don't know how that works. I guess building it would cost, but whatever.
Well, Borgnine, the space reporter, would know that. Yeah,
yeah, he's the space reporter. He reported on the silly money pit that was
the USS Cygnus.
The USS Cygnus, I guess. I don't know. I want to read those articles. In fact, this is a movie that needs a prequel.
Yeah,
that'd be great. It's like a hard hitting investigative journalist like drama, uncovering the cost of the Cygnus or something. Anyway,
oh man, if they ever did remake this, they would totally do some of the promotional materials. Would be like Ernest Borgnine's characters,
right,
reporting and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So when he was recalled to Earth,
there was a mutiny.
Reinhardt.
There was a mutiny.
Right, Reinhardt was like, "I'm not going back.
Right,
well, I got more important work to do out here.
I'm a scientist."
Right, and so everybody went to Frank McRae, who was like the first mate or whatever, and he led an uprising that was quickly squashed, and all of the people were turned into like these zombie robots to run the ship. And that's now the crew of the Palomino has figured it all out. And pew 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 pew,
lots of laser battles.
Yep. And only the captain of the Palomino, which was Robert Forster, the lady, the daughter of Frank McRae, who is Yvette Mimieux, and Joseph Bottoms Pizer character. They're the only ones who escape with Vincent. Vincent's, of course, probably the biggest star of this movie.
Yeah,
and nobody can forget Vincent. Vincent was a little round guy.
He's a cute little round robot.
Yeah, he floats around. He spouts out his idioms, and he's portrayed by Roddy McDowall.
And he's got a little kind of beady eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's got lasers, though, and he's got claw to punch people with.
Yep.
But, so they escape. They go through the black hole, and on the other side, they find a planet, which I think later on people were asked the question, it's like, what if they actually died, and what's on the other side is just, that's the afterlife. It's like they're dead. They're flying to planet heaven.
Yeah, I don't
really buy that either. It's just a fucking movie for kids, guys.
Yeah, it's definitely the ending is surreal for sure.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So there's lots of stuff here to talk about, to unpack, if you will, over the next little bit. I used to watch this movie every day, multiple times a day. My brothers know this movie so well.
So this was your Frozen, huh?
I guess, yeah. I guess so. There are frozen robots at one point.
Yes, there
in this
are frozen
movie.
robots.
No, this is, I used to watch this movie constantly. I had the toys that Mego put out. I was bonkers for this movie. I loved it. This is a John Barry score. John Barry, my favorite composer. It's very it's like a dirge almost.
The score is probably my favorite element of this movie.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
There are times when there's no music or nothing really. It's like a very quiet moment that is almost used to build tension more so than the score being used for that.
But it's got the strings, the violins that it just cuts and cuts. It's so good.
Yeah.
And it's also got the overture, like the bum, 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 kind of that epic nature. Hey, we're on a space adventure.
Space adventures with heroes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was directed by Gary Nelson. He had done some TV shows, like some old westerns in the 60s, like Have Gun Will Travel, I think probably Bonanza and like that sort of stuff. He was also a director of Disney stuff, like both TV projects, and he had directed the original version of Freaky Friday in 1976. So this was probably his very next movie. And so, it's kind of funny because this movie, there's two ways to think about this movie. I think a lot of people dislike this movie. I think a lot of people think that it's dumb.
Those people are dumb.
Those people are dumb. So there you go. Take that. Next topic. No, it's one of the things that I wrote down is that it feels like, first of all, this movie is totally aping on Star Wars, like whatever they can to try to, keep the space adventure going, right? Cash in a little bit on that Star Wars craze, but there's also like an attempt to make it seem like 60s science fiction, where there's like scientific gobbledygook that people say. Like at one point, like at one point they say pull it up on the hologram. Well, the hologram wouldn't be the display that you're looking at. It's what makes the display, right? It's like you would say just bring it up on screen or bring it up in the viewer or whatever. You wouldn't say bring it up on the hologram. That's just made to sound scientific, science fiction.
Sounds science fiction-y.
The other thing is, at one point they're flying. The Palominos discovered the Cygnus, and they're flying around it, and they're trying to get a better look at it. So at one point they say, turn on the micro beam.
Yeah.
Which is just essentially a spotlight.
It's like,
but a micro beam wouldn't make sense.
Is that just a tiny beam?
Right. That produces a gigantic circle of light. The size of this gigantic ship.
The micro beam.
So like there's stuff like that, and like at one point like they're getting ready, like Reinhardt's getting ready to take the Cygnus into the black hole, and he's like doing his calculations, and he's like pi squared over 60 squared, and it's like everything is squared. It's like it's that kind of dumb science talk,
Yeah.
where like
it's all filler. It's all like sciencey filler.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not supposed to really pay attention to it. It's just like, oh, they're talking about sciencey things.
Right. It's like, I'm dumb guy audience. I'm just gonna tune out.
Yeah. In that sense, this movie is not very dense in its science fiction. It is.
No, I mean, I think really where they get the most dense is when they talk about sacrificing for greater knowledge.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more of a philosophical type of.
Right. It's what is truly meaningful. Who do we really answer to as an authority?
Right.
Right. What is the ultimate purpose of science?
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like, because like each of the crew members of the Palomino have a various take on what's important. Like Anthony Perkins, who plays Durant, Dr. Durant. He is kind of like the Reinhardt character, where he values the exploration and the scientific exploration maybe more so than his companions. Like, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to do this. And it's like
the pursuit of knowledge.
The pursuit of knowledge is what he gets behind.
Yeah.
Kate McCrae is motivated by family.
Yeah.
And through compassion. Booth, who is Ernest Borgnine, is
the truth,
but also self-preservation.
Yes.
Because at one point
it's not the truth at all.
Everybody.
It's not the truth at all costs.
Right. It's what truth I can find while still keeping myself safe.
Yes.
Pizer, who's like the lieutenant, the second in command, he is heroism. He's doing the right thing at all costs.
Yeah, he's kind of the cowboy, if you will.
Exactly. He's the Han Solo of the group. Shoot first, and we'll worry about the rest of it later. Holland, who's Robert Forrester, who's the captain, it's the mission. The mission, it's we have to get back on the ship. We have to leave. We have our own stuff to worry about.
Yep.
So it's, and then Vincent is just basically playing devil's advocate to everyone.
Yeah.
With his idioms.
Yeah.
Really, it's what he does. I mean, he doesn't provide what's it stand for? Valuable information. Now centralized something. What?
Oh gosh, yeah. What the heck? Sorry.
But like he keeps saying stuff where like
vital information necessary centralized.
None of it was vital or necessary.
No,
it was he was just playing devil's advocate most of the time, and he was really getting on Piser's nerves.
He was also
going to get them all killed. Yes,
he's very ornery.
He kind of is. He wants to have a dick measuring contest with Maximilian, which is the gigantic devil robot.
Right from the go.
He's combative with him.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
It's like, dial it back.
You're on his ship.
Yeah.
Chill out.
I mean, maybe everything is on the up and up. It sure shit doesn't look like it. But
and
you never know.
Maybe
all of his story will check out.
Yeah, but first though, you wanna make fun of devil robot,
right?
By saying the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Even like Robert Forster's like, dude, next time smile when you say that, which is because he doesn't have a mouth. But anyway,
right.
Basically saying next time just don't say it at all, asshole. Yeah, and like he so at one point in time, like everybody, like my favorite parts of this movie is when everybody is split up and they're all finding various pieces. Like Booth, Ernest Borgnine finds a garden, like this gigantic garden on board where like it's meant to provide food and purify the air was also mentioned that it might be there for, but it's there really for food. And he like sees one of like the little robot guys that are like working the controls, and he seems a little weirded out by it because the robot gets up and walks away with a limp.
Yeah.
It's like robots typically won't have a limp. Even if they have a malfunction, they'll get it fixed. And so, it's like that's then there's Captain Holland is going through the cruise quarters, noticing like all of their stuff is still intact. All of their jumpsuits, their uniforms and stuff are still there. And he witnesses what can really only be described as a funeral for these robots. Robots typically don't give themselves funerals when they die or when they, whatever. And then my favorite is Vincent meets up with an older version of the type of robot he is. Old Bob.
Bob.
Bob is Slim Pickens. I couldn't think of his name there for a second. Slim Pickens. And they find the robot rec room.
This was always my favorite scene as a kid too.
So the robot rec room is where all the sentries go and do like some laser skeet shooting.
Yeah, they basically laser target shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's all the sentries are like maroon color, right? And like there's one that's in all black. And he looks like a badass, right? And Bob's like, oh, that's that star is STAR stands for something. And he's a pretty hot shot, right? And Vincent's like, oh, we're better than him. Again, chill the fuck out, Vincent.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we're better than him. And Bob's like, yeah, I beat him once, and he did things I don't want to remember.
What did he do?
That is some psychological like warfare Star played with there.
Plus, also keep in mind that Bob is all banged up.
Oh yeah, he's got wires sticking out. He's got holes in his armor. Yeah, he's in bad shape. So Star defeats one of the sentries and then goes up to Bob, and it's like basically challenges him.
Wants a rematch.
And Bob's like, oh God. So Vincent notices that Star cheats by knocking into Bob to make him miss, and Bob's like, "Nah, I would have missed anyway," because it's like
That was gonna let him win.
No, I was gonna let him win. Yeah, he's got a fragile ego. So Vincent's like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna take him on." Okay, sure. Draw attention to yourself, Vincent. Great. Vincent, realizing that Star's about to knock into him, knocks back and like fires off a bunch of shots, and one of them ricochets back and hits Star, causing him to like short circuit and blow up or whatever. Which is awesome to think that, first of all, these robots have a perception of recreation,
right,
and honor and pride.
Yes, and competition.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me.
And he does too. He's also very arrogant, Star, because every time he's like doing like trick shots, and then every time he ends, he does like a really bad impersonation of like gun twirling.
Yeah, which the guns don't have a way to twirl.
Don't have a way to twirl. Right. It's fucking funny. It looks so dumb, but he's like, and then he kind of like acts like he's putting them in his holsters.
Right, which are just like little hooks on the side of his legs. Now, interesting thing about Star, he is portrayed, and actually I don't know if this was a stunt thing or a technical advisor or something, but he is actually played by Tom McLaughlin. Does the name strike ring a bell with you? Don't look it up. No,
I'm not, but it's not ringing a bell.
All right. Okay. Tom McLaughlin.
He's not in like the cast list at all.
No. He was listed as Tommy McLaughlin.
Oh, wait, there he is. I won't click on him.
Okay, Tom McLaughlin is the writer and director of Friday the 13th Part 6. Jason Lives.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah.
And the writer and director of Blind Date. Or no, Date with an Angel.
That's weird.
Yeah. He was Captain Star. Which blows my mind because he is part of two of my favorite childhood movies. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Wow. Huh.
So he was the one, he's like, Gary, Mr. Nelson, do you mind if I try to like act like I'm twirling my guns before I put them on? Yeah, Tommy, whatever.
Yeah, go for it. Just give it a shot.
Just do it. We already have to film a trippy finale to make this movie reach feature length. So just do whatever you want. We'll film it.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. So most of what people will remember of this movie is probably the second half of the movie when like most people are going to, if nothing else, they're going to have visual reference for when like the action and all that starts, because like that's when they start exploding sentry guards and they start blowing up like the Cygnus is going to go into the black hole, but they maybe waited too long because now a bunch of space Cheetos
are
like flying towards them, like being sucked into the black hole.
I guess Neil deGrasse Tyson would call them meteors or something.
I guess
whatever the hell,
or an exploded
some
sun.
Highfalutin word like meteor.
Mediator.
Space Cheetos is what
Space
they are.
Cheetos is what they look like. Is what we're going to call them. So they start like slamming into the Cygnus, fucking up all the systems, basically not making it possible for Reinhardt to do his thing. But what you're going to mostly remember is like the visual of like one of the Space Cheetos like rolling down part of the ship, and
cool,
and the silhouettes of them running in front of it to get away.
Super cool.
The final confrontation with Maximilian and Vincent is pretty classic.
Scared me when I was a kid.
There's some scary stuff in this movie.
Like Maximilian in general just scared the piss out of me as a kid.
Well, he does end up having lasers at one point, but he's mostly known for using his twirlies.
Yeah, his little saw thing.
Yeah, he has like a little drill
saw arms.
Yeah,
that twirl. Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary, man.
It's super scary.
Also, he just looks like the devil.
Yeah. He's got that red like laser eye brow. Oh,
and there's a hum that follows him. In some ways, I kind of think like that's actually pretty intelligent because somebody probably watched Star Wars and was like, Darth Vader's breathing is scary.
Yeah.
You know, you always know he's there. You always know he's a presence there. So we're going to add this little hum.
Yep.
This real low hum. And
you hear the hum, and then you see him kind of like float
down
slowly
slowly.
into frame,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh fuck, he's here.
Yeah, he's a scary dude.
It's scary.
The
The whole first half of the movie is a lot of tone of dread.
Yes.
I mean, so I remember, seeing this as a kid, and especially the first time, and it's still kind of, I feel it a little bit. It's just that sense that nothing is right. There's evil afoot, right, and spooky stuff, and it's like it's kind of what I love about sci-fi to this day. When there's a lot of sci-fi movies that kind of start like this,
Right.
where the one ship encounters another ship, and they board it, and things don't appear as they should.
That is an old school science fiction trope, whether
Yeah.
it's boarding a ship or landing on a planet.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because like, I mean, that goes back to, Forbidden Planet or Phantom Planet, even to a certain extent. Absolutely. It's in This Island Earth, though done a little bit differently, where you think that, those big-headed aliens, you either think that they are being dishonest or that they really are asking for help. Either was because it goes back and forth, and so it's like, it's always, And
then the second half, once sort of when all is revealed, is space laser adventure kind of flick.
Right, like it's your action. It becomes your Western then.
Yeah. A lot of space battles, gunfight, laser fights.
Hiding behind stuff.
Robots versus robots.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. It really, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's like on the surface, the movie is well constructed.
Yeah.
With that, because it builds to its drama. It builds to its, older now, I do realize it's lacking in a few things.
Oh,
like
most definitely.
dialogue is really kind of stilted
Yeah.
and kind of not great.
A little corny.
But then again, all of these people are probably realizing it's like, this is a movie for children. This isn't
right.
This isn't quite like Star Wars or Star Trek, which are made for more little older, like teens and older.
I think, though, that may be part of why it was such a failure, is because it was it's almost too corny for adults, but too dark and sinister for children.
Yeah. I can get behind that.
It doesn't really quite pigeon any one audience.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where it's like, I think partly of why I liked it so much was that it's a faster moving Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more brisk, or in its timing. But I did like the thrills.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I appreciated the thrills of the scary sentry robots and the scary.
The things that scared me in this movie are the things that made me remember it fondly.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes me want to go back and watch it. And,
Yeah.
It's like, I'm the type of person who, like, I really do think, as much as I like the idea of, wouldn't it be great if Star Trek was real and I could get on the Enterprise and fly around, the realistic part of me, the part of me that realizes that, when I really think about that, space is a very scary place. Like, one little thing goes wrong and you're blown out and your head explodes or something, your blood freezes and you get a really bad sunburn.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's I don't know, it's just, it's such a but it does trigger both feelings, like, oh wow, we're on a space adventure, and then also space is scary, yo. Black holes gobble you up.
They'll gobble you.
You gobble.
You'll get gobbled.
Yeah. Have you ever seen those videos? Sometimes you see somebody post them like on Facebook or something, where it's like, what would happen if a black hole, a small black hole appeared next to Earth? And like they would basically walk you through like the fucking nightmare scenario. Just a small one could do, not like this where it was like supposedly like the most massive black hole ever or whatever. Yeah, I mean it's well. I always will remember once like everything starts going really really bad. It's like the space Cheetos are fucking up the Cygnus. And everything gets washed out with with red lighting and red tint and everything. And, it's like they're running through that one section after they went through the garden to get away from those 1 century bots. And, like Maximilian comes out and it's like then starts chasing Vincent. And just the visual of that is always in my brain.
Yeah. And the decompression of the ship, so the air being sucked out of the ship, that really scared me.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I would think it was the first time I kind of did understand, some sense of a vacuum.
Yes.
Right. And what that meant and how dangerous that was.
Yeah.
And that freaked me out.
Yeah. Cause like there's a couple of instances, like when they're in the garden, the hole gets breached. It freezes all of the plants instantly. The robots get frozen and then they get like blown away.
Yep.
Then when Maximilian gets offed by Vincent with Vincent's own little drill claw thing.
Yep. He just floats off.
He just floats off. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's weird.
Oh my God. And that movie always makes me like, that part of the movie always gives me the, like, depending on what scene, like what shot it is, I either feel hot or cold watching it.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are effective things in here. It's not. I'd almost hesitate to even call it science fiction,
Right.
because it's real thin on those themes. I guess it's an adventure movie. It's also kind of a horror movie. I mean,
oh yeah, I feel like it's a horror movie first and foremost, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you're putting it in like the category with Alien.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, I think it's that kind of movie. I mean, whether it's a truly effective horror movie is to be debated, but for me as a kid, that's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
I looked at it as a scary movie.
Well, yeah, because like the sentries are scary looking. They're very menacing looking, at least. The guys who were turned into robot zombies and they were like basically working this. They're all like gaunt faced and sucked in.
Yeah.
They look dead.
Yeah. That scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's scary stuff. Anthony Perkins being like chopped up by.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gets straight murdered by the robot.
Yeah. And, I always felt like there was a part of me that also was always bothered by when Ernest Borgnine decides he's going to take the Palomino away.
Yeah.
And then he gets blown up. And it's like, part of me was like, I realized like, oh, that's selfish. I always thought it's like, oh, what a jerk. But then I also always felt bad that it's like, it was all for naught anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I guess I'm glad the heroes weren't on there.
Yeah.
Because everybody's dead. But then again, though, if you really think about this also, this is another thing. What difference would anything have made if they did end up dying? If they did get into the Palomino, they rocketed off and they got fired upon and all died.
No difference.
Nobody is harmed other than the fact that a guy has just murdered 5 more people or whatever.
I think it is probably in your interpretation of the ending.
Maybe. It's also maybe part of that philosophical question of, well, how bad do you think the Maximilian Schell character is?
Right.
Like, is he so bad because of what he did to the mutinous crew, or what he considered a mutiny, is he so bad that he must be stopped, even if it harms nothing or no one other than the people he's already harmed.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I mean,
that's a philosophical question. I mean, like, people on Earth would not have been affected.
But I think though, at that point in the movie, the crew of the Palomino is just trying to escape.
Right. At this point,
they're not trying to stop anything. They just
we just got to get away.
They just want to get off the Cygnus. They don't want to go into a black hole.
Right. Because what if he is wrong? That was one question that
Right.
was asked. It's like, well, we think he's going to do it, but what if he doesn't? We can't be here for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no one is going to be harmed. He is a bad dude. I mean, he should be brought to justice, but that's not their primary concern.
Right. There is self-preservation at that point.
Yeah.
Which falls in line with, because like at one point in time, like, you know, Ernest Borgnine's like, all right, we're getting out of here. Awesome. And then then they need to go help other people. And like, well, and Captain Holland is like, you know, we're going to be back. We're going to take off, but we got to go get Kate. Then they get delayed. And then Holland's like, go ahead and take off without us. And Pizer's like, no, ain't going to do that. So he gets off the ship, and Borgnine fakes a twisted ankle to get back on the get back on the ship and take off. You know, so it's like, I mean, it's in line with what he believes most in, probably, which is, hey, I told you this guy's a cuckoo, and now I want to save myself, you know.
Yeah.
If you guys want to come with me, great. If not, I'm going to find a way. Yeah.
Yeah. There is a sense of Reinhardt's character, too, where he's trying to justify himself to them.
Right. Because
Where he talks about the ends justifying the means, and that, you know, in the pursuit of science and this knowledge and all of this great information, which he, it seems, willingly wants to give to Anthony Perkins to take back to Earth, to actually help humanity.
Well, he is legitimately saddened when Maximilian kills Anthony Perkins.
Which I always thought was scary too. That Maximilian was maybe the one who was actually running things.
I think that was what part of that symbolism is at the end, is that at this point in time, Reinhardt is no longer in control of anything.
Yeah, right.
He's just giving the orders, and it's Maximilian who's keeping everything in line.
Right. And Maximilian he's doing what he wants, basically.
Well, at the end, he absolutely does.
He's autonomous. Yeah.
Right. He absolutely does, because when the Cheetos fuck up everything and the Cygnus is starting to break up, the big display screen falls on Reinhardt.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he begs for help from Maximilian. Maximilian just turns back at him and then just keeps going.
He's like peacing out on the elevator.
Yeah. He's like, see you later,
see
jerko.
ya, going down.
Never came back. All he wants to do is fuck up Vincent.
Yep.
Basically, and old Bob.
Yep.
Which he does. He gets old Bob.
He does. He gets old
sad.
Bob. That's sad.
It is sad. So let's talk about the ending.
Yeah.
Because this is weird.
It's weird.
I feel like you found something about the ending.
Not really.
No?
No.
Well, set us up.
So, all right. So here's the deal. It's looking like the surviving crew of the Palominos going to get away.
Right. This is Holland, Pizer, McCrae, and Vincent.
They're going to get away on a probe vehicle on the Cygnus.
Right, because the probe they did discover, even though the probe didn't go into the black hole previously, it can withstand the gravitational science that Reinhardt has done has been applied to both the Cygnus and this probe.
Right. So they're going to escape on the probe. And they get on the probe and they realize, oh shit, the probe is
pre-programmed
to only go into the black hole. So they're what's his name asks, so does that mean we're going to go into the black hole? And Robert Forster's response is classic. I think it's the last line of dialogue in the movie. He says, yep. There might be one more exchange between him and the female officer, but yeah, that's pretty much the last bit of
That's
dialogue.
pretty much it.
Yep.
So he goes. So they get in, and this is where you get your Stargate, your 2001.
Yes.
So go ahead.
So yeah, that's exactly what it is. It is the Stargate sequence, sort of like light from 2001. They go into the black hole. It's kind of a cool effect though that always unsettled me. Is they shoot it like in a strobe effect, so it's almost like they're taking frames out to give it kind of a slow motion effect, but it's also very jarring and herky jerky. It's and sound is distorted as
and
well.
it's replaying old dialogue too,
Yeah.
in the background. It's twisted, and it's like it's some of the stuff that is much more heady.
Yeah.
Yup is not repeated. It's other more heady stuff.
Right. So and then so they're kind of spinning through the black hole,
which is kind of cool because like the camera is spinning. They are on essentially what do they call that? A gyroscope.
Yeah.
So it's like everything is very distorted.
I mean, before we get to the rest of the ending, I guess it makes sense that they have to go into the black hole for one thing. I mean, the movie's called The Fucking Black Hole. The whole movie they've talked about what's at the other end of a black hole. How can you go through a black hole, right?
Right.
Of course, somebody's got to go into this thing. But it does become like we got to have our Stargate sequence sort of moment.
Yeah, like because the imagery begins to. It's one thing for things to be spinning around and people reacting and looking like they're all about to barf. As I said, it would just be like me in a bubble of barf because I would be spinning around and barfing all over. It's like I'm hitting the X, the Y, and the Z axis. Yeah, and so like then it shows like Reinhardt like floating.
Yeah, this is where it gets really weird for me.
And he's like he merges with
Maximilian. They see each other floating in space, I guess, and they merge. And then it's a really iconic.
Yeah, he's like Maximilian
shot.
Is like Reinhardt's inside Maximilian. You can see his eyes.
You can see his eyes darting around in there.
Yeah, and then they're standing on top of like what looks like Devil's Tower.
Yeah.
Sort of in what appears to be hell.
Yeah.
With all of the zombie robots like roaming about,
right?
Like the tortured souls.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I guess really kind of, I think that is supposed to be symbolic of life on the Cygnus.
Yeah.
That Reinhardt and Maximilian became one and the same to the point where they even flipped roles, like we were saying. But then like you've got all of these zombie robots like toiling away. It's I think that's meant to be the Cygnus was hell, not the black hole. It was
but practically, I mean, what happened there? Are your perceptions changed? Is the black hole a gateway to heaven and hell?
Right, because then the next thing you see is a tunnel with a light at the end and a ghostly like angel like lady. I don't know.
Right,
man.
and then immediately after that, the probe, the Cygnus probe,
shoots through the white hole.
That doesn't sound wrong at all.
That's what it's called.
I know.
The other end of the black hole.
And it looks like they're approaching a bright star planet of some sort.
Right, where it seems like in like really hopeful music plays.
Yeah, like they've met God or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, in a way, it is kind of like. That does prove Maximilian Schell, but that proves Reinhardt right. That knowing this kind of makes you almost like a god,
right?
Like there's a lot of that intention that like the only reason why you want more knowledge is so that you can basically be a deity among men, or whatever.
Part of me loves the fact that this is the ending to this movie and that this is the ending to a fucking kids Disney movie.
Right.
Like it is.
That part was really unsettling for me as a kid.
Yeah, it's so unsettling and also confusing, but in another way thought provoking, right?
I guess, yeah.
I mean, at least made you kind of contemplate things, even though still to this day when I contemplate it, I kind of just
Blink out.
My brain, just kind of blinks out because I don't really know what to do with it. Whereas it's so different from the Stargate sequence in the end of 2001, where I like
right.
that makes me.
Well, because that also doesn't happen at the very end.
True.
It takes him through space and time.
That's true. Right.
This is just taking them from one place to another, and they're thinking back, that guy seemed like the devil.
But I think about
I guess he is.
I think about them trying to take the whole last 20 minutes or so of 2001: A Space Odyssey, condensing it into a 5-minute, like super poignant and philosophical exclamation point that actually in reality no one is gonna fucking get.
Right. I would love to know.
It was coke fueled.
I would love to know what people were thinking with this.
Me too. I would know who signed off on it.
Yeah, I hope that this movie gets a more now maybe there is a more updated release than mine that has a commentary on it.
I don't know though. You might have the only release of this that's ever been on DVD.
I have the only copy on DVD.
Only copy on DVD. Yeah.
It, just so happened to be at a Meijer one night for $9 flat.
It's a good score.
Yeah, right. I'm the only guy who's got it. No, it's. I would love to know what they were thinking with the end because the first 90 minutes is real straightforward.
Very.
I mean, no doubt about. You are meant to at least believe Reinhardt is a villain, even if there is some understandable, justifiable reasons for what he does. Granted, I think you're just supposed to land on the fact that he's a bad guy because he killed all the crew.
Right.
But he's thirsty for knowledge, something he can share with people. Like he's not thirsty for knowledge just for himself. He like you said, he legitimately seems like he wants that knowledge to go back to Earth one way or another. Like I think the plan was, hey, Alex, you're gonna stay, because you're a weirdo, you're a science weirdo. I'm gonna shoot through the black hole, and then you can just turn the Cygnus around and go home with all my papers, because they still use papers in this in this future. And like Anthony Perkins is like, yeah, rock on, I can do that, I can dig it. But yeah.
There was talk of a remake of The Black Hole.
Yeah, you were talking about that.
So it was John Krasinski, not Joseph, not the guy from The Office. Joseph Kosinski. I have trouble with Polish last names. I don't know why I can't pronounce them. Kosinski, guy who directed Tom Cruise in Oblivion.
I like that movie.
I like that movie. And Tron Legacy, which is okay. Visually, I liked it. He was going to direct a remake of Disney's Black Hole, which the fact that Disney has even considered a remake of this is phenomenal, because I feel like they do everything they can to bury this movie.
Right, including handing it off to Anchor Bay,
right,
to do a DVD release.
It's fucking weird.
That's not even anamorphic.
They
for
will
my TV.
not in any way, shape, or form embrace this movie, and it's inexplicable.
Considering all of the stuff, I mean, like that. Okay, so basically, Disney's like, What do we want to release? And like, there's a list of movies that they haven't released in a while. It's like, all right, well, unidentified flying oddball, sure. Aristocats, absolutely.
I mean, they've already remade That Darn Cat, right?
Darn Cat. In Freaky
Flubber,
Friday. When can we get
times over?
When can we get another Freaky Friday?
Right.
And then they're like, Black hole, no.
No fucking way.
Right.
Had that weird ending.
It's like they're like black hole's like, oh no, 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 no. Song of the South? No.
They would consider Song of the South
They probably would.
before the Black Hole.
It seems like they might,
Well, there was a script written. John Spates wrote the script. He wrote the Prometheus script.
Oh boy.
And a few other sci-fi scripts.
I'm a little nervous mixing Prometheus with Black Hole.
Well, it kind of, I don't know. See, the direction that it sounded like he was going was definitely darker. It was going to be a little bit more of the quantum theory.
Okay.
Like really get into the quantum theory of black holes and the theoretical possibilities. I kind of imagine it probably a lot like Interstellar.
Okay.
Right?
What if Interstellar ended up being our Black Hole remake?
Right. I mean,
oh my God.
It is probably the closest we're ever going to get. but
we'll get a remake of Song of the South.
Yeah. But he said I
dare you, Disney, to make a live action remake.
Yeah. He said he thought he wrote a pretty good script, but it was too dark for Disney.
Okay.
And Disney didn't want to do it.
Take it to Marvel. They don't have any problem with dark.
I feel like it can land somewhere. I mean, it's generic enough, right? That maybe they own the script. I don't know. It's kind of a shame. I wish it would at least get leaked. I'd like to read it.
Wouldn't it be amazing if Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the Black Hole remake?
Oh my God. You wonder about that too sometimes.
Right. Like, did they take it and create something else with it?
Right. Or did John Spates just like, as you talk about some of his concepts and his ideas, and other screenwriters are like, hey, you should use this for that. Yeah. Right. This is something that's never going to get made. And I had this idea. Right.
I want to call up the guy who does the, what's that? What is the... What's the blacklist for? No, I think it's called the blacklist.
Yeah.
Well, I want to call that guy up. It's like, hey, do you someplace have in your stack of blacklist movies that are really really good but can never be made? Is the Black Hole there someplace?
I know, man. I want to read it.
Yeah,
I want to read it so badly. The one that I always wanted to read that John Spates also did was Passengers. That was one of those scripts that. Was passed around Hollywood and everybody loved it, but if for some reason it can never get made, and then it got made and it was terrible. The script was better than the movie, but that's always that was another John Spates script that everyone would love that wasn't actually that good in my opinion. So I take all of it with a grain of salt.
Sure.
I want to read the shit out of it. I don't care. the moment that thing is leaked, I'm gonna read it.
You're gonna print it off.
I won't print it off.
You're gonna kill some trees, print it off. So yeah, I mean, this is a movie that I don't think is very difficult to see. Honestly,
is it not?
I think there is a later version of the DVD than I've got.
Oh, okay.
I think because I think there's one with a black box and black cover.
Maybe,
I think it is available. It may even be something that you can like rent on. I
think it's on Amazon.
Yeah, it might be on Amazon. Yeah. But yeah, I would check it out. I mean, like, especially if you are in your mid 30s.
You can get it for $6 on DVD.
There you go.
From Amazon. Yeah, and there is. You're right. There's a different release.
There's a.
Looks like it was actually a Disney release.
Oh, okay.
Disney DVD back in 2004 maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one's older. That My Anchor Bay one's older. No, I would say check it out, especially if you're from your mid 30s to your mid 40s. You would have been you're probably the target audience anyway. It's a little silly in parts, it's a little hokey in parts, but it's Disney doing what Disney live action did back then.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it in our age, I'm not going to expect you to love this movie. But if you have kids,
yeah, they might like it.
They might dig it, and
it moves. It's not like you know, I mean, and yeah, we talked about stuff being kind of scary in it. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, when we say if you have kids, you know, try it on a 9-year-old or something.
Oh yeah,
I think the 9-year-old could handle it.
Most definitely.
I mean, I'm talking about like when I was spooked by it, I was like 4 and 5.
I was in like kindergarten or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, I mean, it's not like it has anything overtly horrific.
No, there's one like straight up murder.
Yeah, but it's
otherwise it's robots.
But
and
it's
stuff.
bloodless.
Yeah.
But it is an effectively scary movie for kids, at least in the 70s and 80s it was.
Yeah. And it was targeted for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, this isn't like we're saying, you know, hey, let your kids watch, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
Yeah.
You know, even though I did as a kid.
This is probably a better introduction into horror and sci-fi than, I don't know, something like the fucking Goosebumps movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, maybe later this year, Guillermo del Toro will.
I'm real excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what he has to say about that.
I can't wait.
Yep. So anyway, yeah. I mean, I still like this movie. It's for all of its silliness. I still enjoy it.
Me too.
I don't think there's anything wrong with enjoying it.
And man, the ship design on the Cygnus too.
Both the Palomino and the Cygnus is just it is all about. You know what? This movie's biggest overarching thing is David and Goliath.
Yeah,
Palomino's a tiny ship.
Very
the Cygnus
so.
is very large. You've got little Vincent versus big old Maximilian.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got the idea of small little people taking on basically the devil's asshole, which is what that black hole is.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it is all about, you know, littler things aspiring for better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. All
right.
So, next week we are going to talk about Videodrome. Oh, by the way, this was our backdoor. This is our little backdoor secret Ernest Borgnine twofer with the Devil's Reign and Black Hole. Yeah,
that's so weird that happened.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so next week we're going to talk about Videodrome. It's a movie I've not seen.
Oh.
So that's going to be new to me.
Huh. Okay.
New to me.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. If you'd like to send us an email, you can do so at filmseizure@gmail.com. You want to follow us? You can go to Facebook and Twitter. That's at Film Seizure. We also have some Instagrams.
Don't follow us for real. We're too boring.
Oh, yeah. No.
We don't do much.
No, all you're going to be doing if you follow me around is sitting on my couch watching me do nothing. And that means I'm going to have to feed you, and I'm not going to do that. You can find new episodes of Film Seizure every Wednesday at our home base, filmseizure.com. We also got the iTunes, Google Play. We've got TuneIn and Spotify. Check things out there.
Check it.
Then you can also watch, or you can also go to YouTube and listen to our episodes there if that's what you are into. Mondays, we got Monster Mondays. I'm having some fun with that, talking about monsters in various ways. Various monsters in various ways. So that's all the stuff you need to know. So until next week, I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I am Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.